Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Look at me putting out 2 videos. Oh man, I'm on a roll. Now, today's video, I thought I would do something a little different than anything I've ever done on my channel. It's not different to BookTube, it's a very common video, but it's different to me. And I'm going to do a haul video. Basically, for December and January, I got quite a few books and I just thought I would show them and talk about them and stuff, and why I picked them out. I am not the type of person who frequently buys books. I more often than not try and go through the library. However, I live in a small town and the library's options are often limited. I have been reading a lot of audiobooks listening to a lot of audiobooks lately. So those I'm not including, or I had a couple digital ARCs that I'm not including as well because I can't really physically show you those. But I did get some physical books, so I thought I would show you those as well. So the first 3 I got were gifts. Now, Christmas obviously happened in December, but also my birthday's in January, so I got quite a few books from that. So I got 3 gift books. So I thought I would just show them, talk about them, and tell you guys all about them. So the first one I got is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Now, I actually read this book in the month of January. If you want to see my full review about it, I posted that in my review video. You can kind of click up there, maybe if I figure out how to do that, and you can see my thoughts on it. But basically, it's the story of this unnamed narrator who marries this rich man, Mr. De Winter. He is a recent widower to this woman, Rebecca, and she is kind of living in Rebecca's shadow as she moves into the house. It is a classic novel, and it is kind of described as the first thriller, and it was really interesting, so I really enjoyed that one. The second one I got was also a Christmas gift, and that is Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent. Now again, I've read this one in the month of January. If you want to see my full review, you can check out that video. But this is an interesting adult thriller, and this basically follows this woman years after her and her husband had murdered this woman. So you know that they've murdered her, and so it's kind of interesting because it doesn't have that intrigue, but it kind of deals with the aftermath of that and their son kind of looking after who is this woman and what happened to her, and the sister of the girl that they murdered also looking for her sister. So this one was quite good. The third and final gift book I was given was sent to me by a friend. It wasn't for any particular event, just sent to me because she thought I would like it. I haven't read it yet, but it's near the top of my list of ones to read. And this is The Tiger's Daughter by Kay Arsenal Rivera. Now this one I honestly don't know too much about. And I often like to keep it that way. When I go into a book, I don't like to know too much about it because I feel like it can really give you this false idea of what to go in expecting. I've had that a lot of times with books being told, oh, this is a mystery or this is a thriller, and it ends up not being what I think it's gonna be. So I'm going in almost completely blind, but I've heard really good things about it and I really trust my friend's judgment, so I'm really excited to see what it's going to be about. Now, I did buy myself quite a few books in the month of January. I was given a lot of gift cards for Christmas and my birthday and stuff, so most of that went to that. I didn't actually have to spend much on them, but I did buy quite a few new books, so I thought I'd show you a few of those. So the first 2 that I got are actually also part of my January wrap-up. Again, you can go check that out. What I'm trying to do lately is really buy books that I intend to read, instead of just buying books that I'm just gonna put on my bookshelf and get to one day. I'm trying to buy books that I know I'm going to read rather soon, and books I'm really interested in. So I've read a few of them already. And the first one is The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the second one in the trilogy, the Truly Devious trilogy. Now, I read the first book back a few months ago and I absolutely adored it, so of course I pre-ordered this one and picked it up as soon as it came in, which is really handy. I got it on my birthday, so it was like a beautiful birthday present to myself. But the first novel follows this girl who attends this private school for people who are really passionate about something, and what she's passionate about is true crime, and she gets in with this essay convincing the school that she is going to solve this cold case that happened when the school first opened. The man who opened the school, his wife and daughter were kidnapped by this person calling themselves Truly Devious, and they were never found. So now she's at the school trying to solve it, but now she's being kind of followed by someone calling themselves truly devious. So it is quite interesting. The second one is incredible, but again, if you want to see my full review, it's over there. The second book that I've bought and read already is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. I've read quite a few V.E. Schwab books. I discovered her in 2018 and just fell in love with her writing style. She is incredible at building characters, so I was so excited to pick this one up. Now, this one is a middle grade book, but it is so good, and it is this girl who, after a near-death experience, can peel back the veil between the human world and the ghost world, and her best friend is this ghost, and after going to Edinburgh, she discovers that she doesn't quite know everything there is to know about her power, and she might be in danger. It is very, very good. The other books that I bought for myself, so I have two more, and one of them I'm actually in the middle of reading right now. This one is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. It is the first in the Grisha trilogy. I have heard so much about this, but I'd put off reading it. I tend to not read like overly hyped books because I feel like I go in with too high of expectations and they never quite live up to it. Now I'm part of the way through it, almost halfway. I'm like here. Yeah, I'm about almost halfway. It's 40%-ish. I don't know what to think yet, but again, you'll probably get my thoughts at the end of February. But I decided to pick this one up because they're apparently making a TV show, and I often like to read books that are being turned into a TV show just so I can be like, I read the book. No, not really, but like kind of really. But this one follows this girl who suddenly discovers she has magic powers. She's basically a Grisha, and she had no idea, and so she kind of gets whisked away to the world of Grisha and has to go through intensive training, and is basically told, you can save the world if only you can harness your power. So I don't know too much more than what I've read. That's about all I've read so far, but it is interesting so far. I don't know if I love it, but we'll see. The final book that the new book that I bought for myself is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now this is one, it is overly hyped, but it's one that like, I'm on the hype train. I wanted to read this book for so long for two reasons. I honestly don't know much about it, except this girl basically moves in with her eccentric uncle in 1920s New York. So it has that whole kind of concept, and I'm not like the biggest historical fiction fan, but I also I'm not against it, so that's neat. But what really draws me in is that apparently it has to do with paranormal, and it's really scary. So I believe this one is a trilogy as well. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I love anything paranormal, I love anything scary, and the cover is beautiful and purple, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. I can't wait. Now, I also did recently make a trip to a used bookstore in my neighborhood. I was kind of wanting to check out a few of the used bookstores around to see if I could sell some of my old books and see if there's any good new books. Now, this one isn't so keen on selling, but I did find a few old books that I did want to buy. So I'll kind of show you guys them. I did end up buying 5 books. The guy was kind of pushy. I only meant to buy 4 books, but he's like, oh, well, if you buy 1 more, I can give you an extra 5%. And I was like, well, there were a few I was eyeing. So I picked up 1 more, but so the first one that I got is actually the very first book in the Percy Jackson series. Now you can tell it's used because there's like an ink stain all over it, but whatever, I don't care. I'm just here for the story. This one, the guy actually kind of tried to convince me to buy the entire series. He's like, oh, you can get the whole series for only $20. But surprisingly, I've actually never read this series before, ever. I've never read a Percy Jackson book. I've never read anything by Rick Riordan. I'm behind in the time, so I am excited to check this one out. I've heard a lot of good things. I don't know too much about it. I honestly hardly know anything except it involves Greek mythology, so that could be really interesting, and it involves a main character, Percy Jackson, so we'll see. We'll see if I end up liking it. If not, I can always return it and apparently get my full money back, so that's neat. So we'll give this one a try. The other books I got were a lot of classics. I don't know why, but I was kind of lately in the mood to like read some classics, so I did pick some up, and a lot of them were classic mysteries. Now I did find these absolutely beautiful red and gold covers. They're super Gryffindor-y, and even though I'm not a Gryffindor, I can appreciate anything that kind of reminds me of Harry Potter. But they are collected stories of Agatha Christie. Each one of these books has 2 of her stories, so I think I got the early Poirot cases, Postern of Fate, the Lisserdale Mystery, and The Clocks. Now, I haven't heard much of a lot of these stories, but I'm really excited. I've read a few Agatha Christie books, and I've loved everything I've read by her, so I'm really excited to read some more. And these were just gorgeous. I couldn't say no. The other one I got, I actually intended to go in for The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's a story that I started a while back and then I never finished, and I've just really enjoyed what I did read and I've heard fantastic things about it. So I asked the guy if he had it, and he's like, oh, you want this? It's better. So I ended up buying the complete works of Oscar Wilde. Again, you can tell it's used, it's a little bit frayed. So I really got this for The Picture of Dorian Gray, but maybe if I enjoy that, I'll want to read something else by him. If not, I can return it and get my full monies back anyway. But yeah, I'm really excited to read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know what I'll do with the rest of the complete works of Oscar Wilde, but that should be a lot of fun. And then the final book that I picked up at the thrift store, I found this like kids book-ish looking. It looked like a book from like the 1950s, and I thought it looked really cool and retro and everything. And it was these collected works of Sherlock Holmes. It was the first few Sherlock Holmes mysteries, and I was really excited because I've never read anything Sherlock Holmes, and I've always wanted to. I love the character and I love mysteries. But of course, the pushy salesman was like, "Ooh, you want this? It's better." So I ended up with the original Sherlock Holmes and the original illustrations, which is actually pretty cool. It did look really cool. I did pick it up. It's got a lot of like really neat pictures and illustrations, and it's got all the stories. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm pretty excited to check these out. Now, these ones aren't like top of my TBR, but I am really, really excited to see how they go. So overall, I got quite a few books in the last couple months. If any of you guys have read any of these books, let me know down below. If you think there's anything I should read before the others, let me know. Or if you think there's any other cool books that you think I might enjoy, let me know. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until then, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!